What's going on? I'm Scott from KONIG, and today we're going into these 5 things that you could possibly overlook. Let's start with number 1. Number 1 is load rating. Load rating is one of these things that I think people hear and they think it's just something that you check off as a box and you have moved on. But understand that load rating can have effect on your experience. Now let's talk about what this means. Load rating, first of all, has to do with how much a wheel can statically hold. Again, statically hold. Now, this is why load rating can be complicated, and it's one of those things that you're gonna wanna do a little research on, because load rating is kind of what we have to determine how much stress a wheel can take, again, statically, but still it usually translates to stress in general. And because of that, if you're gonna be using your wheel in certain considerations, you may wanna choose to go with a load rating that's higher than the load rating that you actually need for your vehicle. When you are going to buy your wheel and tire package, one of the things you wanna do after you've selected your wheel, kind of have an idea of exactly what wheel you wanna run, is make sure that the load rating is proper for your vehicle. Now, the first thing you should do is go to the door placard, look at the axle weights. Right near the gross vehicle weight, there's gonna be an axle weight. Don't use the gross vehicle weight. The axle weight will be noted as front and rear. You'll see 2 different rates. You take that weight, the heaviest one, and you divide by 2. And that is what you need for a load rating for your vehicle. And that's a static load rating. If you're gonna be using your vehicle in racing, if you're gonna be putting downforce on the car, if you're gonna be adding extra stress, remember, if you're on a racetrack, the weight transfer of a car is gonna change as you dive into turns, right? The weight shifts. That's how momentum works. So we're gonna wanna try to come up with a number that actually works for these situations, and we're gonna make sure that we get to that load rating. And if you choose a wheel like that, you are going to have a much better experience. And if you're choosing it statically because you're just rolling around on the street and you cover exactly what is needed or in surplus for the vehicle, then you also are gonna be in a much more safer position. And you'll find that this will allow you to not only navigate the streets with a clear conscience, but also it will make sure that your wheel will hold up for the ride that you're intending to use. So the second thing you may have overlooked when it comes to buying a wheel and tire package actually has to do with the ride quality. Sometimes there's too much emphasis put on the actual look of everything and not enough emphasis put on the ride quality of things. Here's what you should know. The larger diameter wheel that you go with, again, to maintain the proper overall rolling diameter of the tire, which is essentially the tire height from top to bottom that would have come on your car from the factory. We want to always maintain the overall rolling diameter because that is going to make sure the vehicle stability systems, ABS systems, speedometers, all that stuff stays 100% true. If you go up in diameter, you're going to have to decrease the height of the sidewall of the tire. And that often leads to less of a cushion of air for that wheel to ride on. When you do that, let me tell you where you're gonna feel that. In the good old bum. That's right, your ride quality is going to change. So expect that as you go up in diameter, you're going to have a harsher ride. You're gonna feel the road a lot more. You do this in New York, where we're located. You do this in some of the places where they decide that, we don't really have enough money to go ahead and fill in these swimming pools that we've piled on the side of the expressway. Well then, you may find this to be not only detrimental to the ride in your tush, but you also may find it to be detrimental to the ride and some of the wheel damage that can come along with it. Remember that that cushion of air is also the thing that is protecting the wheel. As we decrease that cushion, we're also decreasing the amount of cushion that that wheel has to avoid when you hit road hazards or different impacts. This could lead to a little bit more wheel damage. There we go. We have summed up the reason for ride quality. Don't overlook this. It's just one of those things that keep in mind in your wheel choice. As long as you do it consciously and I think you'll have a much better experience. All right, so the third thing that you may have overlooked during your purchase actually has to do with the finish of the wheel. How is that finish gonna hold up for your use case? Are you somebody that's gonna be using this wheel all year long? Are you gonna be using it in a winter environment? Are you gonna be using it in places where they're gonna use harsher chemicals on the road? This is one of those things that people don't often talk about. If you're gonna be using this on a racetrack, if you're gonna be using this in an area where you're gonna be a little rougher with your wheels, always choose a full painted wheel. When you choose a wheel that has a machine lip or machine face, you tend to see that the wheel will not hold up to some of the really harsh environments for as long a period of time. When you machine a wheel, you're going to machine off kind of the full painted surface, and then you end up getting a spoke that's usually a little bit sharper or has a sharper edge. Now, no matter what you do when you lay the clear coat on top of it, you're still gonna always have less clear coat buildup on the side of that spoke or on the corner of the spoke. So if you're somebody that goes through car wash a lot, which you should never do, but if you are gonna be in an area where there's a lot of debris, sand, rock chips, or stuff on the road, at some point, your wheel is gonna act like a tumbler and all that stuff's gonna end up into the wheel lip there, and it's gonna tumble around and it's gonna start to sandblast very slowly the corner of that spoke. And once you've permeated the clear coat on the corner of that spoke, it's now an open way for the environment to get underneath, and that's where you see the majority of clear coat failures. Don't use abrasive brushes on your wheels. Make sure your wheels are always wet before you clean them. And our suggestion, more than anything else, is you can use a ceramic coating wheel kit. This will provide extra protection, extra longevity, and will make it easier for you to clean your wheels. And we just so happen to have one of these kits that you could buy from us at store.konigwheels.com. All right, so circling around to another point that you possibly could have overlooked when you bought your wheels, and this one makes me sad. One, because when people have purchased their wheels and find this stuff out after the purchase, this is a complicated problem that usually can cost them a lot of money, and that has to do with brake caliper clearance. See, a lot of people try to research what wheel and tire size will fit their car based off of two factors. One is width and the other is offset. If you use these two factors alone, you could potentially walk into a situation where that would have worked on your car, but the shape of your caliper won't work with the spoke profile design of the wheel that you chose. There's a really easy way to mitigate ever making this mistake. It's just ask the retailer. Make sure you're telling them what size wheel that you want to run, but also telling them what car you have. You do this, you won't have so much stress, and you'll know that they'll bolt onto your car. And if not, at least you'll have a place to turn after you kind of have had a problem to try to walk through how to fix it. All right, so this is our last point, and it's gonna be a kind of a tricky one. This has to do with knowing your use case. A lot of people tend to get super caught up in the aspect of wheel weight. In fact, I would say the majority of people that come to us, and yes, we are known for making wheels that are more motorsport focused, they come to us for the ability to get something that is extra lightweight, and we have plenty of it. But you should understand that if you use weight as determining your sole factor, it may be a mistake. The one thing you should understand is that going with a lightweight wheel or an ultra lightweight wheel has always been good from a performance aspect. However, you should know that if your use case doesn't have you using this thing solely on a track with smooth pavement, you're gonna be rolling around this thing all the time, you may wanna think twice about choosing the lightest possible wheel ever and focus on something that's gonna give you some good all-around stability. The lighter you go, you also may run into an issue where you can't possibly get the extra oomph or the extra strength that you need with maybe a wheel that weighs a little bit more. I'm not telling you lightweight wheels are bad. In fact, that's quite the opposite. But lightweight wheels can really do a large amount of beneficial things for you and your car. What I'm saying is, make sure you consider this when you're making your wheel purchase. I hope this was helpful, but I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, whether you're buying our wheels or you're buying some other company's wheels, that you're happy with your purchase, because aftermarket wheels are something that can be incredibly enjoyable, not only to making sure that your car looks great, but that your car feels better and performs well. So that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will catch you in the next one.